Welcome to Season 5, Part 2. Or are we in Season 6? I don't know. This feels very similar to Season 5 for me, and there's a couple things that are prevalent in Season 5 that I view as flaws slash frustrations, which are still prevalent right now, and I don't like it, if I'm being particularly honest with you. I feel like it's best to talk about dual lane first and then go off on tangents on everything else. So let's start with dual lane. Dual lane right now is all about pressure. If you're not a god that has ridiculously good clear, is ludicrously safe, if you don't have any of those things, you're not going to get played in dual lane. The same thing with supports. It's one of the reasons why you see people going very hyper aggressive supports just to get pressure, because once you have pressure, you can keep it, and it's very hard to gank you. If you play it correctly, it's ridiculously hard to gank you, and you just get ahead and ahead and ahead, and then as a carry, your main goal is not to die. That is pretty much what the dual lane is right now. The support's role is to get the carry to late game, or the carry to get the support to late game, and for them not to die. You have seen a lot of players focus extremely heavily on dual lane, and it's all about pressure. I'm not a massive fan of this very oppressive way the meta has gone, because it means certain characters in dual lane really aren't safe and they sort of suck. There's also another factor in this too, which is the XP and gold sharing in dual lane is pretty bad, combined with the fact that junglers are very strong early game, and a lot of them are, I'm gonna say one or two of them are quite oppressive in the fact that they have ridiculously good passives and they have abilities which are ridiculously good. There's two of them in this game right now that are jungling, which I view as problems. And there's also, well, Freya, I'm playing as a problem character in my opinion. There's also another problem character too, which is going to be Hera. There's a lot of characters in the game right now which are quite frustrating to play against. And there's a lot of other characters which are not like brilliant against them. I want to see nerfs to these characters. I also want to see changes so that the characters which they have pushed out of the meta can come back in as, say, counters or very good safe comfort picks, because right now there's really no reason to pick them, and that's a shame. A good example of this would be solo lane. Solo lane right now is, well, you can play Guardians, but it's very difficult and very passive, and you're very reliant on your jungler. There's not really much you can do. So, in order to do well in solo, you have to play hyper aggressive, hyper pressure characters, or characters that can somewhat snowball a bit, like Achilles, Romana. Jing tends to sort of hang with them, and then you have others which can also bully people and do quite well. We have King Arthur. But that sort of pushed out characters like Chuck. Even some Wukong, Tyr, Hercules can do quite well at the moment, but the others not so great.
Keep an eye on my
I don't mind characters being strong, but I do mind characters being super frustrating to play against and super annoying and just annoying in general. A good example of this would be Mercury with Golden Blade. He could instant clear camps. They ended up taking that out from his one, which still made him strong, but he's still frustrating to play against. I honestly wish the designers would look at the game from a two-way street, so that the person playing the god and then the person on the receiving end of playing the god make changes that way. There is another character as well that comes to mind that's quite oppressive in other game modes that isn't really played in Conquest that much, but is risky, and that is Zeus. Zeus right now is ridiculous. He is ridiculous in Assault, he is ridiculous in Clash, he is ridiculous in Joust, and he is about A/A+ tier in Conquest, so he's just good. They honestly need to bring Zeus down.
I was born
I
ready.
think the problem Smite has in general is it has too many game modes, so they can't balance all the characters to suit every single game mode, and that's a problem. It's one of Smite's strengths and weaknesses at the same time. Anyway, moving on to back to season 6, I guess, or season 5 part 2. This season has been probably the easiest to get back into. There hasn't been that many major changes. The designers have said that the reason they have done this is because they don't want to overwhelm people, because people get confused if there are massive item changes, massive god balances. They get overwhelmed. They don't follow the patch notes and they wonder why their character is doing this or why they're behaving differently, which is fine. I understand that. They've also said as well they want to change it so that there's only going to be monthly balance passes to collect more data. They've also said they're going to be looking at frustrating characters, but they're going to be taking data from Platinum Plus, which is a very small sample size, and I have no idea how they're going to look at frustrating characters if they're only looking at Platinum Plus. Because to me, this is going to sound really weird, but I would look at data from, say, Bronze, for people that play regularly that are in Bronze, and people that play regularly in Silver, Gold, and Platinum Plus. Like, look at the whole curve, and then look at what you need to do to make it so that the characters are less frustrating across the board in general. But I understand why they're doing Platinum Plus, because, well, Platinum players are quite good. That said, though, I'm hoping they do address some of the frustrations I do have with the game, especially in terms of balance. Although they are very minor, if I'm being honest with you, they're just there. Characters like Bacchus, in my opinion, Mercury, are very, 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 very strong. In fact, I would say they're too strong and too easy to play. Other characters that are in this group include Loki, and there's a couple other assassins that you could probably put in there too. I don't mind Nija. I think Nija is fine. Nija is one of those characters that has like a risk-reward factor, and I like that. He's also a character with a weakness, which is if you engage and you engage badly, you are going to die, and that's fine. So I don't mind him having a good early game. The designers have said that they are going to be looking at Assassin's damage because of the Duralane meta. They've also said they're going to be looking at mages, I think. I can't remember. They have like a dev insight. I'm hoping that they don't neuter the variety in solo lane, but they do find a way of fixing the fact that it sucks being 2, 3, 4 levels behind people and you're basically a free kill. It just sucks. Dual lane is all about just staying alive, and yeah, it's sucky. Like, it is actual sucky. I'm hoping that they address some of these things. I don't mind the fact that they haven't made massive major item changes. I think that's fine. I'm hoping they do add stuff eventually, because I feel there are a couple niches that they could fill, and there are a couple items which honestly should be changed. But overall, I think they've done a good job so far with the itemization in Season 6, if I'm being honest with you. And change just for the sake of change is a bit questionable. I just want them to change stuff that is just frustrating and annoying, obnoxious, and cheesy. Making it so that you take into account people aren't going to be communicating all the time. Have some interesting mechanics in place,
No one passes this line.
but be aware that people are not going to be using communication, especially in ranked games. Unfortunately for me, not many people are willing to communicate in EU ranked or in ranked in general. As a result, I'll be honest with you, I literally just play ranked and I listen to Spotify. That's also something we can also talk about too, which is ranked. I am incredibly disappointed that they did not include the changes they said they were going to include into the split 1, but they are going to be doing it next split. I don't know why they did this, but they did not communicate it well, and I feel like they should not have talked about it if they were not going to do it for the first split. I think they should have said, look, we are looking at doing this, but it will not be available, and then this is our plans, instead of, hey guys, we're going to be doing this. Oh, we're not going to be doing this to split 1. Yeah, because a lot of people I've talked to have also fallen into that trap, including myself, and yeah. In terms of ranked, I have actually played about, I'm going to say, 20 odd games this split over a couple of days, which is quite a lot if I'm being honest with you, although most of that was done 2 days ago. Haven't actually played that many since then. It's been a mixed bag, like rank is always going to be. You will either get really good teammates, or you will be paired really highly with people, or you will be paired with the worst people ever that clearly have no idea what they're doing. For me right now, in my division, which is about gold 3, I haven't had that bad of an experience. However, I have had some games which have been just terrible. I have actually made a note of all the really bad games. I believe it was a total of 15, so I played about, I'll say 12 plus 24, so about 15 or 18 of those games have been really bad that I've had to make. Well, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give you a conservative estimate and say about 10 of those games, maybe 12 of them have been really awful, and then the other 12 have been good, so about 50-50. That to me is just not good enough. It's deeply frustrating to play games that just, they're so uneven. I understand that the system, it's pretty hard to work out like where a player will be placed, but they need to do something to address that. They need to make it so it takes into account like account history or like past ranked games or something, because it's just a shit show. There's no other way of putting it. It's just an absolute shit show. I feel ranked is probably not the best way of getting better, which is a shame, because I really want to get to platinum as like a personal goal this season. I have actually played against platinum and diamond players, and I haven't had the best of times. But there's no communication, so I feel like I can't improve as a player. So I sort of want to start getting into scrimming with people, but then I sort of don't. So I'm a really difficult like halfway house where I want to test my knowledge. My mechanics aren't fantastic, but they are okay, I'm gonna say. There has been a couple games where I have been tilted and I haven't hit stuff, and then people have sent messages like, what the hell? That does not help people. For me personally, I try and stay positive, if I'm being honest with you, and also that's part of the reason why I've been listening to music, because it distracts you a bit, so you don't focus on the negatives. And I also haven't been focusing so much on analyzing myself all the time, just like analyzing small things, or waiting a couple 10-15 seconds and then thinking about what I've been doing. Anyway, ranked has been a mixed bag. It can be fun at times, and other times it's just casuals with a ladder. So there is that. So now to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is crossplay. Oh dear. Unfortunately, crossplay has come at the cost and expense of certain minor issues with Season 6, which we will go over. One of those is, unfortunately, the match history apparently has now stopped working. I'm going to assume this is something to do with crossplay, which PlayStation does not have, because Sony apparently has decided that all account data on its games or on its platform is its, and it cannot share it with other people, even though it's high-res servers. But then they use I don't know. Sony, please just give us crossplay. It would be nice. Like, I just want to be part of the party. I want to be playing with PC people and Xbox people and Switch people. There's no reason, honestly, not to have crossplay. I think crossplay is going to be the future. Developers, honestly, need to push for it. And closed garden environments need to just disappear. I understand why they exist. I get it, but I think we're moving into a stage now where it does not make sense to do it, and anything that's like exclusive content or anything like that needs to just die, along with a couple other practices. But that's going into other subjects. But we're just gonna focus on crossplay. I would love to have crossplay because it's caused a lot of problems with regards to the match history. It's also caused a lot of problems in general with like the API. The stats are a bit wonky. It won't show up like the stats for rank that well. People's profiles are hidden, stuff like, I don't know. For some odd reason, you can't even look at someone's history if they're not online. You can't even look at them if they're not online. You can't add them as a friend on PC. There's a long list of stuff that crossplay, unfortunately, has somewhat caused to appear. I'm guessing it's because of how they do it, and it's very complicated because of databases being merged. There's a lot of things to sort out. There's also one other thing I'd like to point out in terms of bugs, and that is my avatar for the Founders Pack has disappeared on PlayStation. I just noticed that the other day. I'm not sure which other avatars are missing, but I assume it's something to do with crossplay. And I also assume it's something else to do with how the databases have merged. Even though technically my account has not been merged because I'm on PlayStation. So they need to address that. In terms of bugs and problems I've had, that's pretty much it. Like, horrendously minor. Just the match history stopped working and I can't do this. There is a couple buttons that have stopped working in the UI or never worked to begin with, which they should fix, but that's because they're having a universal user interface now. So I'm fine with them rolling that out slowly. It would be nice if they communicated what they were going to do eventually, but they have a lot of things to do already. They've released a new season. They've done something massive and big, which is crossplay, progression. So I can somewhat give them the benefit of the doubt for the moment. But I would like for the next patch show to basically explain what their roadmap is. It will be lovely. Even if it's just a brief, hey, this is what we're still doing. This is what we're planning on fixing. These are all the issues we're currently looking at. That would be fine. Like, I just want communication. Right. So, one other bug that has been gameplay related, in fact there's two. Mercury has been disabled because he was causing crashing with the game. I didn't actually experience that, I don't think. Or I might have done, and I didn't notice it. So he's been disabled. The other problem as well is apparently Merlin is available in ranked. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. So yeah, we've been quite bug free so far. I've had one crash, which honestly isn't that bad. All things considered. I've seen some people say that this is the buggiest release ever. I just don't know where they're coming from. I can remember loads more patches which have had way worse issues compared to what I've experienced, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Enemy missing right. Enemy missing middle.
So there we go. Oh yeah, we can also talk about roll queue. God damn it, there's actually a lot of things to talk about even though they haven't changed much, is there? Okay, so they've added roll queue. So basically you pick your top 2 roles and then you get them eventually and then you can play them. This is in casual games for Conquest and in ranked. I quite like this system. But this is the but. There appears to be a weird bug in which you will not get what you asked for, or sometimes it will give you random rolls or something else. I'm not too sure what's going on, but I get this sneaky feeling that there is something strange happening with it. So I'd like them to address that and talk about it more. But it is a good system, I do like it. There are some people that I have seen that have trolled with it, but they are apparently reporting these people. Well, you can report these people and then they will get sorted out eventually. That's fine. I get the impression most of the player base don't report people, which is a problem, but whatever. I had some notifications about people being dealt with, so I'm going to assume they do it. I'm hoping they do. Anyway, so we talked about crossplay, we talked about the bugs, we talked about my frustrations, I guess. What else can we talk about? Ah! Is this something that some of the pro players have talked about and discussed, and that is protection reduction. There's a lot of items in this game that can give you protection reduction, and they're quite good. They are, I'm going to say, a little bit too strong because they stack, and I think that is a problem. I feel like they need to have a limit in how much they can stack instead of just being, well, you can just have as many of them as possible on a team and it just shreds people. The winning team at Worlds for Season 5 actually used this strategy and it worked. So I feel they need to be really careful about that. And it does feel quite strong. Even in my games it feels strong. So I think they need to look at that. What else? Speaking of like items and builds, I guess we can talk about mages. So mages had one item nerf, which was Book of Thoth, which turned out to be a buff. Book of Thoth, now you're forced to build loads of mana items, well 3 or more, which is fine. I feel this is a good way of actually balancing the item, because now you have to go choose a focus, Book of Thoth, Soul Weaver, and then Book of the Dead if you really want to do that, and then you have to give up, say, something else, which would in that case be a pen item, but you can pick up, say, Obsidian Shard or some flat pen. In terms of flat penetration, Spear of the Magus right now is ridiculously strong. A lot of people have been underrating this item, but if you can easily apply it, this item is probably one of the best mage penetration items in the game. The other options are good, but if you have Spear of the Magus and then say Obsidian Shard, you will do a lot of damage even to a tank, and that hurts. I feel they maybe should look into reducing the strength for Spear of the Magus, so that you have to properly apply the damage in order to get the benefit. But then again, I'm like sort of like half and half on whether or not they should do something about it. But I feel Spear of the Magus with Voidstone is a problem, so they need to look into doing something. Yeah, so there's my little small item rant, which is mainly on mages. Apart from that, there really isn't many terrible items, just a couple niche items which I don't think the developers are going to look at anymore. They said in the past they were going to look at, but they have decided against it. The only one that comes to my mind right now would be Malice. I think Malice needs to be changed like drastically because it's just not worth using. It gives you crit on abilities, or I don't even know. The old version at least was somewhat better, but then you had the older version, which I can't even remember what that did now. So yeah, there's 26 minutes worth of my season 6 thoughts. I hope you enjoyed them. I'm sorry for rambling that long. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. God, this video is going to take a while to render out. Bye!